Welcome back to Season 2 of the IADS Retail Park, a podcast by the International Association of Department Stores. And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. We're so glad you're here. We'd also like to wish everyone a happy new year. I hope 2026 is treating you well so far. I'm your host, Maya, and if you're in retail right now, you know the old playbook doesn't work anymore. On this podcast, we dive into how the smartest retailers are rewriting the rules, whether it's through technology, new customer strategies, or completely reimagining what a department store can be. This is where retail evolution happens. A quick note, this podcast uses AI clone voices created with human oversight to ensure quality and accuracy. Today's episode is a bit different. I'm stepping out from behind the hosting desk because I spent the last year researching and writing the annual Firsta DS white paper for 2025 on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And honestly, after a year of living and breathing this topic, I have a lot to unpack. So joining me today is Delvan, who's going to be asking the questions this time. Welcome.
Thanks, Maya. And congratulations on wrapping what I know was a massive undertaking. So let's just dive right in. Why DEI and why now?
Honestly, we didn't choose DEI. The moment chose it for us. Throughout 2024, we watched DEI shift from this widely accepted corporate priority into something much more contested. Then January 2025 hit, and executive orders in the US started targeting federal DEI programs. Suddenly, companies were scrambling. Some doubled down on their commitments, others quietly pulled back. And retailers worldwide were left asking, is this still worth it? Or is DEI just too risky now?
So you're saying the timing was unavoidable?
Yes, that's right, Sylvan. Not to sound too cliche, but it was meant to be. You know, IADS has been around since 1928. We've seen trends come and go, and when something this big is happening, when the ground is literally shifting under people's feet, that's when we need to step in with research, not opinion. Our job is to figure out what's actually happening beneath all the noise.
Okay, so walk me through it, Maya. A year is a long time for a research project. What were you actually doing all that time?
Well, Sylvan, I started by listening, and I mean really listening. First, I built my knowledge base, reading Inclusify by Dr. Stephanie Johnson, DEI Deconstructed by Lily Zhang, The Culture Map by Erin Meyer. I showed up to seminars, joined discussions with practitioners who were navigating this work daily. I interviewed DEI leaders who opened up about their personal journeys and shared their professional insights. That gave me the foundation, but I knew context was everything. So I went deep into the legal history of DEI in 6 major regions: Europe, North America, Asia Pacific, the Middle East, Africa, and Latin America. Understanding how legal frameworks and cultural norms developed in each region was critical because it shapes everything about how retailers operate today. Then came the real world application. We looked at IAD's members like Falabella, El Corte Inglés, Gallery Lafayette, and Chalhoub Group, alongside non-members like Nordstrom, Tesco, and Marks & Spencer. Add in McKinsey and Accenture research, demographic trends, all the data. That's how I built the complete picture.
That sounds very intense, to say the least.
It was, and this is where every second of research mattered. DEI doesn't look the same anywhere. Gender equality leads in some markets. In others, it's ethnicity, disability, socioeconomic background, or national integration policies. The language people use, the transparency they expect, the role of government regulation, it varies dramatically by region. Each interview, each legal framework we studied, each cultural norm we analyzed added essential context. The extent of this research meant every second counted because we weren't building a surface level overview. We were creating something comprehensive enough to honor those regional differences.
It's a lot of ground to cover. So you're looking at different legal frameworks, different cultural priorities, different transparency expectations across 6 regions. And retailers operating globally have to navigate all of that simultaneously. So you're saying there's no universal playbook?
Not really, no. But there are universal principles. And that's what we spent a year trying to identify, the threads that connect all these different approaches.
And what did you find? What are those threads?
4 big ones. First, when DEI is actually embedded into how a company operates day to day, not treated like some separate HR initiative, it strengthens performance. Diverse leadership teams make better decisions. Inclusive cultures reduce turnover, which in retail is huge because churn is so expensive. Equitable teams catch errors faster and collaborate more smoothly. And frontline employees who feel heard, they become your best source of innovation.
Wait, frontline employees as innovators? You know, Maya, that's just not how most people think about retail workers.
I know, right? I get where you're coming from, but really think about it. Think hard. They're the ones interacting with customers every single day. They see what's working, what isn't, what frustrates people, what delights them. If you create an environment where they feel comfortable speaking up, you get insights that no amount of data crunching from headquarters can give you. That's gold.
Okay, that's one thread. Let's move on. Talk to us about the second.
Retention. Retail has always struggled with high turnover, but when employees feel valued, when they're connected to their teams, when their manager actually listens to them, they stay. Research shows that employees who feel their opinions matter are way more engaged and way more likely to stick around, and that directly reduces recruitment and training costs.
So there's a clear financial incentive.
Totally. And that brings me to the third thread, the business case. McKinsey found that companies with more gender diverse executive teams were more likely to outperform financially. Accenture found that 41% of shoppers have actually switched retailers because they felt the company didn't care about DEI. These aren't feel good stats, they're real indicators that inclusion affects your bottom line.
Thanks for sharing those numbers with us. Now let's go ahead and move on to the final thread.
The fourth thread is innovation. The data kept pointing to the same conclusion. The best ideas come from diverse teams. When you have people from different backgrounds, different life experiences, different perspectives in the room, you avoid groupthink. You catch blind spots. You design better products and services because you're actually thinking about a wider range of customers.
Okay, but here's what I'm thinking. Companies have been saying stuff like this for years, Maya. What's different now?
Well, Selvan, the context is different. DEI was riding this wave of social momentum after 2020, right? But now it's facing serious headwinds, political backlash, economic pressure, organizational fatigue. So the real question is, can DEI survive when it's not trendy anymore? And what we found is yes, but only if it's genuinely woven into how you operate, not just how you talk.
You mentioned earlier that DEI looks different across regions. Can you give me a concrete example?
Sure. In Europe, there's a huge emphasis on gender parity and disability inclusion, often driven by regulation. In Latin America, DEI intersects with race, indigenous representation, LGBTQ plus rights, all layered on top of deep rooted social inequalities. In Asia Pacific, some markets are super comfortable with DEI language and transparency, while others prioritize harmony and cohesion over explicit diversity talk. The Middle East and Africa are seeing rapid workforce changes and localization efforts. And in North America, you've got this tug of war between stakeholder pressure pushing DEI forward and political forces pulling it back. The store is still there, but it's one element in a much bigger puzzle.
That sounds exhausting to navigate.
You're not lying there, Sylvan. It sure is exhausting. It takes a lot of work and effort. but it's also where the opportunity is. The retailers who get this right are the ones who adapt to local contexts while holding on to universal principles: fairness, dignity, equal opportunity. They don't just copy paste a program from headquarters and call it a day.
Why don't you talk to us about some real examples? Which retailers are actually getting this right?
Tesco's a great one. Their CEO, Ken Murphy, talks about inclusion as doing the right thing and how that also drives growth. Marks and Spencer focuses heavily on well-being, flexibility, psychological safety, things that show up in everyday management, not just in policy documents. Falabella has strong intergenerational inclusion and career development programs. Chalhoub Group uses diverse perspectives to inform everything from merchandising to marketing to community engagement.
And on the flip side, where did things go wrong?
We looked at cases like Abercrombie and Fitch, where cultural blind spots led to serious reputational damage, or periods at Walmart and H&M, where inconsistency or pullback created trust issues. Those examples show that DEI isn't static. You can slide backward if leadership focus wavers.
After a full year immersed in this, what's the one thing you want people to take away?
That DEI isn't about checking boxes or meeting some external expectation. It's part of what lets an organization stay steady when things get rocky. Inclusive organizations adapt faster, make smarter decisions, and maintain trust. In an industry facing labor shortages, tech disruption, and constantly shifting consumer expectations, those capabilities aren't nice to haves, they're essentials. The retailers who approach DEI with clarity, consistency, and a long term lens, they'll be in a much stronger position for whatever comes next. Not because it's trendy, but because it strengthens the core of how they operate.
That's powerful. Maya, thank you for walking us through this. I know our listeners are going to get so much value from the full white paper.
Thanks for the great questions, Sylvan. It was nice to give a few highlights. It's been a long year, but I'm really proud of what we've built. Well, folks, that's a wrap on this episode of IADS Retail Park. If you want to go deeper into everything we talked about today, you can find the full 2025 white paper, DEI at a Crossroads, along with the exclusive article linked in the episode description. Both are publicly available on the IADS website. And if you're looking for more retail insights, follow us on LinkedIn, check out our Substack for weekly deep dives, and visit www.ias.org for all our research and resources. Thanks for kicking off Season 2 with us. Whether you're a longtime listener or this is your first episode, we're glad you're here. Until next time, keep questioning, keep evolving, and remember, in retail, standing still isn't an option,